Hello everyone, welcome to my video. So recently I started playing Diablo 4 and it's been pretty fun actually. So I'm pretty new to Diablo, don't know much about it, but started playing the rogue, and I have a friend that's pretty much he's into Diablo and a lot of games like this. So he told me the rogue is kind of trash, but I did play this during the beta, and I played season one a bit, and I didn't think the rogue was too bad. I think it's a pretty cool concept. I play Tekken, so then this from a Tekken perspective, this reminds me of like Kunimitsu or like Yoshimitsu or whatever, like the rogue type character kind of has that affinity to it. So it's pretty cool in my perspective from that sense. So I'll play the rogue, even though they said the rogue is kind of trash. And I looked at some of the builds. So he said, just follow like the Maxroll build and everything like that. And I did that in season one, but I was like, nah, I kind of like the whole thing of theory crafting and stuff like that and trying to come up with builds. I played the Division, but I never played like Diablo 2 and whatnot. So like Diablo 4 is like the first Diablo that I kind of started to try to get into. So um with the rogue being perceived as trash, this is kind of my build that I think is pretty good. So I'm gonna show it to you guys. Let me know what you think. Short disclaimer, not a Diablo expert, but I feel like this build does kind of make sense and it kind of works. So if anyone can help to improve it, that would be dope, because then I think this build is actually pretty strong, because I'm at level 79 and it's still kind of working. So let's start off with how I think. This I think I can kind of cover everything. There's a lot of things that synergize in the build, and I think it's hard. Like you need like a spreadsheet or something like that to kind of illustrate everything properly. But let's start out with it. So first thing is that, from what I understand, the rogue has a problem with energy regeneration. So that was one of the things I heard from my friend. I think energy regeneration was probably the biggest thing. I don't remember what the other things were. So um with the rogue, I feel like the rogue actually, with this build specifically, I think the rogue is like the most mobile character in the game. And I'll explain it by the end of the video. I'll explain this why the rogue actually has the most mobility in the game, in my opinion. Again, not a Diablo expert, disclaimer, but again, I think there's justification for this, and this build kind of proves it, as well as it having like good damage and good CC. By itself, I don't know. I think long term, it definitely can one shot some stuff. It definitely has good crowd control. So yeah, I think it has utility with one shot potential, and it has utility with like a good crowd control balance, I think, between the two. So again, I'll point all this stuff out in the video, and kind of go from there. So first thing was this invigorating strike. So I kind of picked this because one of the focuses was just making sure you can kind of regenerate energy and manage your energy regeneration. So this was the first thing. So I decided to go with this. This is cutthroat skill, which there's some synergies and things like that with the aspects that tie into that. But anyway, so invigorating strike, and then I decided to go with these bonuses with it. Obviously this one you have to take. Then I went with this one because of the vulnerable, because with this game, like, there's a lot of different things you can synergize and stack when you have status effects on your enemies. So I feel like from the testing that I've done so far, I think this has been better, because vulnerable, when the enemy is vulnerable, it stacks with a lot of other things. So I decided to go with this. So from the get, there's potential for a good way to help manage the energy regeneration. It's not the ultimate solution. I have something else that I stacked with it to help with that, because I know there's some pants or boots my friend was telling me is really hard to find. I haven't found them, but what I have put in place, I think, is a workaround for not having those pants, whatever they do, or I'm not sure, shoes, whatever. Anyway, I went with Barrage. I think last time season one I played Flurry before. I played Flurry or something like in the beta. Flurry is pretty cool, it's fun. And I think I played Twisting Blades last season a bit. I didn't build it correctly or whatever, or the build guy was kind of weird, whatever. I don't know. But Twisting Blades was pretty cool. So this time around I went with the Barrage. For the Barrage, I don't know how many points you should really spend. I think I ended up spending 3 in there because I had extra stuff. I wanted to make sure that I had damage, so ended up with 3 within Barrage, and went with this obviously, and then went with this because, like I said before, this I think has better utility than going with this one. So I went through with them because, again, it ties in with the vulnerable thing here. So all right, so next section is agility. So Rogue has a lot of agility. So with this build, when I mean it's like the fastest build or has the most mobility in the game, it's not that it has it directly by just kind of moving around and pointing and clicking. It has like a lot of utility within like the movement, the dodging. Like with the build I'll show you later on, you actually have um 3 evades. You have 3 evade charges actually. You know what I mean? So then that's part that ties into the mobility potential of the build. But then also with this, and again, not necessarily that I invested 7 into it, but through the gears I happened to get, and the RNG was lucky enough to get like 7 ranks into Shadow Step, and that actually works out really well because this is your thing that when you stack this with your other skills and you go in and you hit this, you can target one single enemy for like a one shot. You can stack all your other skills that give you damage beforehand and then go in and like one shot something and do probably like the most damage. You know what I'm saying? So you have kind of options with that. So went with this, and through that I went with the cooldown reduction because it helps. It stacks with the other thing. Like with this, there's a way that you can get 2 charges on this. There's actually a gear piece that gives you 2 charges for this. So if you have 2 charges on this, and then you have, the cooldown reduction, it actually helps with your mobility. And then, like I previously said, you also have 3 evade charges. You have 3 evade charges, and then if you find the right gear piece here, you can have 2 charges on this, and then you have the cooldown reduction. That makes it kind of, I think like really good. So that's that. Over here, I went with this because again, like I had certain amount of points. I know with you using a cutthroat skill for like your basic skill, you got to kind of be in the paint, so to speak. So with this build, I kind of focused on like durability and like ruggedness as well, because you're gonna have to be able to tank, some damage in a sense. So you got to be a little bit tanky. So I kind of focused on that because you're gonna have to deal with a lot of status effects, a lot of different things like that. And actually over here, I think I went with or sturdy as well. And then what else? Yeah, nothing over there. Okay. All right. So next thing is with dash. So dash, yeah, dash. Actually, I have an aspect that makes dash a lot better by itself. You gotta kind of be careful with dash because, like, if you don't have enough health or enough damage, you can kind of dash through a situation and kind of just get like one shot. But with this build, again, you can stack with your buffs and then kind of go in with this dash and kind of you can apply status to a whole crowd of enemies. So you can go in and you can either dash through one time on the crowd and you can apply certain status effects, or if you dash a second time, then you apply even more status effect and daze the enemies. And then obviously, there's a lot of stuff that could kind of stack based upon that as well. So that's actually pretty cool. So with this, you get 2 charges, and again, through the gear pieces, somehow I got 10. So it's like pretty crazy, like at this point with that and with this, and you have 3 evade charges. So if you think about it, 3 evade charges, and with the 2 of these, you have 2 of these, you have 7 mobility things, but technically you have infinite. And again, when I go through the gear pieces, I'll illustrate why you technically have infinite mobility with this build when we get to it. Alright, so that's it for the agility. So in the what is this? Subterfuge skills, I went with Dark Shroud. I used Dark Shroud before in the beta and like season when I played the rogue. Pretty much it's for like, damage reduction essentially. And I had some gear pieces to help buff this a bit, but I would only spend 1 point in this because you get like the 8% or 8.4%, I think, initially. But like when you level this up, it only gives like 0.4%. I don't know if that's really worth it to put the points in it, but I got gear pieces that has given me more buffs into it, so I'll take it. Went with this. Again, oh yeah, well you have to go with that anyway. Together, so out of the 2, I went with this to increase critical strike because I want to focus on damage. I feel like I don't necessarily need like the mobility, just like outright mobility speed, because I have so much other mobility utility with like things that do damage. Because even if I evade, my evade actually does damage as well. So evading, I can do damage with evading, and that's kind of mobility in a sense. So that's why I kind of decided to go with this to get a better critical strike chance potential. And this, yeah, went with this because, like I said, felt like I had enough stuff in damage and wanted to still focus on like, just like health. I don't know what you would call these types of things. I guess like utility type joints or whatever. I don't know. And then here's the I guess not say the main point, because like all the other skills are important, but this kind of just adds to it. Like I feel like this is like the ninja. Yeah, this is like the rogue type skill. This is like if you watch Bleach or something. This is like the Bankai or whatever. You know what I mean? Like it's called the shadow imbuement. It's pretty dope. So I played this in season 1, and yeah, it's pretty cool. So when you stack this, and again, somehow through the gear piece, it's got like 9 charges. So that makes this like crazy. Like it makes it actually crazy strong because if you tie this, like say if you put this on beforehand and then you go in with one of these because it you just go in behind your opponent and you get that whatever, like that's actually pretty strong with that because there's other things you can stack with this, sorry, with this that gives you like guaranteed actually no, 100% lucky hit chance. Everybody knows how to explain lucky hit chance. I think if lucky hit chance, I think that means it's like a guaranteed crit and like other things as well. Or maybe you just get the lucky hit stuff, but either way, it's 100% lucky hit on this move. So again, if you buff your stuff ahead of time with stacking buff your ahead of time by stacking with this, because it gives you increased critical strike chance, and then you stack with this beforehand, then you go into one shot something or whatever, you should do pretty decent damage. I mean, long term. I'm only level 79 right now. The build, I wouldn't say is super optimal. Like, I haven't leveled up all my glyphs. I only have one glyph to like level 15. The other one I have level 2. I'm still trying to level up or whatever. So I think there's a good like potential here for this to be like the thing that does the one shot utility, and then this is the thing that does like helps you with the crowd control. You know what I mean? If you need it to be super strong, you can just add the imbuement to this, and you get 2 of them. So you can go in, you can do this one of these on the crowd as a whole, and then you can target like an elite in the middle because you'll apply a status effect to the elite. If you dash through the crowd and then come back through, and then you hit a shadow step on like the biggest guy in the crowd or whatever, you're just like, hey, and then there you go. So see what happens, and it should be pretty decent damage. So it's worked out and been pretty okay. So this one just added this as well as something just to add. I felt it had a good utility for the build. I've seen some rogue builds that go with like 2 imbuements. I know there's some aspects that deal with that. I haven't tried to figure out how to synergize it. I think it's hard to manage, like resource wise, or just like having a skill. But you gotta push. I mean, people already say, like my friend jokes, that you gotta push a lot of buttons with the rogue anyway. People just want to push like one button. But I feel like playing the rogue is really engaging. Like it forces you to kind of pay attention. And you pay attention, like it does damage based upon that. So I don't know if you have to push the most buttons, but yeah, you do kind of push buttons. You got to kind of actually no. What I'll say is this: if you want to play the rogue way, you want to turn your brain off, you can just push buttons, right? You can just play this build and push buttons, and you'll kind of do damage. But when you get to like harder levels and you have to focus, this build I feel like has really good focus, really good like utility. If you like go in and you're methodical and you plan stuff out, like this build is actually pretty sick. So I think it works on both levels. Like it is actually really engaging if you're playing it at high level, but then at low level you can kind of just go in and jump around and do stuff. But when you run out of like cooldowns to jump around, then you're kind of screwed. Maybe if you manage things properly. So just try to manage your resources because you do have a lot of movement potential with this build, and that's what makes it really fun to me. So there you go. So that's what this is right here. So next thing is, unfortunately you only have like 6 slots, so I didn't take anything from here because I wouldn't have been able to manage it down here with everything. But what I did do is I went here and I went with this momentum. So with the momentum, you can do some synergy here. So again, days enemy. So it goes back to the whole beginning thing with the status effect. If you can apply what I see from the game, again, not a Diablo expert, Diablo 4 expert, but what I've seen is that in this game, I guess, like if you can put some sort of status on your enemy, that allows you to stack damage quicker and more effectively. So then this kind of synergizes with the most basic skill that I have, allows you to make your enemy vulnerable, and then you can kind of go in, and I think it is the dash. What does the dash do? Slows enemy. Okay, so if you do 2 things, if you slow the enemy and then you dash again, then you daze them, then I think that does that. Yeah, that affects this. So, or you hit an enemy from behind. So this momentum thing synergizes crazy with this because if you use any of your agility skills, you activate momentum. So you always can have momentum up essentially with this rogue build. with these type of bonuses. And there's actually another bonus in the earpieces that I'm going to get to next that stacks with this. Skin. If you look at this one, you can easily daze your enemies with this one. You have two charges, you just boom, boom, daze them, and then whatever. And then this one, you hit somebody from behind, you become unstoppable and quickly move. Yeah, so then, and you hit your enemy from behind. And actually, just thinking about this, I see some things that when you become unstoppable, there's some other things that tie into this. So I could probably look at the unstoppable thing, like the aspects that tie into unstoppable, maybe adjust this to be even more stronger for the one hit potential with this. But again, even as it is, this build I think is still pretty strong. But let me know what you think. All right, so that's it for like the skills. Yeah, so for the skills, I'll get to the background board later because I know that's like I don't know if it's like super complicated, but yeah, I get it. It is you got to kind of think it through. So I've been working in background board. It's not fully finished yet. I think I understand where I want to go, but it's working out in a way that I think is pretty good for the build so far from what I've experienced. I don't have a lot of hours in the game, but enough, I guess, to kind of say that I think this build is really good. I'm having fun with it. So um, that's what I'll say. So these are the best earpieces I have thus far. And I want to kind of not necessarily some of the stats on the pieces are definitely actually important, but you know with RNG you kind of get what you get. So with this piece, what's really cool is I got +4 ranks. The Shadow Demon, so it's like that adds a lot of damage to that, which is really cool. So super lucky with that. If you can get that on any of your pieces for this build, is really good. And then also, luckily, we just finished talking about momentum, so you can easily activate momentum with this, and then also that helps you with the whole tankiness and the whole damage situation. You know what I mean? Because you do have damage reduction from the dark shot, and I think like from other things, but then also you have some regen with this thing here, with some life regen with this situation, and there's other places where you get life regen with this build as well. So um pretty cool for that. I put that socket on there for like I think it adds like fire. No, it didn't add fires. It did something else, which I want fire resistance. Whatever. Anyway, so yeah, that's this piece. I ended up putting this on there. There's one piece that I'm missing, actually, aspect that I'm missing that actually makes this build have like infinite movement and like mobility in a sense. And I'll show you that I have it saved in my stash somewhere. So that's for this piece. So for this piece, again, RNG, you get what you get. What is cool about this piece? I guess, oh, well, the aspects are key for this build, definitely for the build. As far as the stats, like I said, whatever you can get that works well with the build and makes things work, you know, with the background board and everything is what it is. If you can get like, you know, things that buff your dash and things that buff your what is the other thing? I forget. The thing that goes behind them, the shadow step. Oh yeah, shadow step. If you do that and then you buff your shadow, if you can buff those three things, I don't know barrage, like because this is not necessarily a barrage build. I think it's more like a shadow build in a sense versus it being a barrage. Like you have barrage, but maybe even I could probably substitute barrage for something else. You know what I'm saying? And go like because I think actually the concealment actually seems to tie it better. Like what I could try to do is in an alternate universe, I would probably potentially get rid of Barrage and then change it to is it this one? Vanish from sight. Yeah, this one, because there's things that tie into like when you um come out of like stealth or whatever, then you can get like a guaranteed counter hit. Is that what it is? When you leave stealth, there's one of these things. Concealment makes them vulnerable. Still concealment. Yeah. So if I go with this, and this actually might be a good, I might test this and remove Mirage and might go here with this concealment because with this you get the critical strike, right? So then if you tie it in with the shadow step, so then essentially, if you put on your dark shroud, right, and then you put on your shadow step, and I instead of Mirage, I go with concealment. What is it? Is it concealment? What did I say that? Can Yeah, concealment. So I go to concealment, right? And then I hit somebody with shadow step. You should definitely be able to one shot some stuff. I feel like you should definitely be able to one shot some stuff, or you should definitely be able to like do some damage on a wider scale to like a crowd potential. So I'm definitely gonna lab that and see if that actually works because that idea just came to me. just now. So I'm gonna test that and see how that works. But anyway, back to over here. Okay. So imprint is skill upon taking damage from surrounding enemies. You drop a smoke grenade. This one's working out. I'm testing this one to see how it works because with this gear piece, there's like limited ones, like aspects that you can put on that are kind of, you know, super useful. But there might be other ones that might be more beneficial. Like I said, with the whole unstoppable thing, that is just on shadow step and other things. So gotta lab it to see. But I decided to put this on there because I think it's pretty cool. With dropping the smoke grenade, you get you get damage, you get free damage. So without you having to push a button, you get damage, and then you get some type of mobility with the dodging or whatever. So it gives you some utility that I think synergizes with the characteristics of the rogue. So you have this, I think, synergizes well. This synergizes, and then with this piece, we go here, and this again, since I'm using Dark Shroud, I think that works out well because again, when the Dark Shroud would be consumed, you triggers an explosion. So again, when you use the Shadow Step, you teleport in. Like say if you put the Dark Shroud on, you have your damage reduction of like the Dark Shrouds. I think you get like 5 of them or whatever, right? And then you teleport in. So you teleport in, boom. Like if people attack you, like that kind of protects you. It's your buffer. It's like the damage reduction, but then when it goes away, it actually does damage and actually explodes around and does damage to the people. So if you come in with the shadow movement and then you have the Dark Shroud with these things that are exploding, like you're just doing damage like all over the place. Like the build is called Gago Super, which that is like, you gotta ask a Filipino person about Gago. But this, I mean, it's kind of Gago in a sense, like, and I'll do a video just showing, illustrating, like, you know, the play style of how I think the build is played or whatever. But it is definitely, I think the build lives up to its name in every way. Like it's kind of like that. I'll get to that in the end. But so this I think is really cool. Like when I found this one, I was like, yeah, this definitely I think has really good utility for this build and kind of gives you offense and defense maybe at the same time, I guess. So this gear piece, plus 2 ranks. This is why I got the 2 ranks to Dark Shroud on this one, which is like, yeah, I'll take it. You know what I mean? Whatever. But I don't think you necessarily need to go more than 1 per se into the Dark Shroud just to get it started and, you know, just get the other things. I went with this one. Oh yeah, I went with this one because I'm still looking for something else. There's something else. My build was set up differently, so I feel like this one fits well for now. I don't know how often this actually triggers or how often it works well, but you know, if I do get a Dark Shot, then, you know, if it explodes, then, you know what I mean, like I get free damage, and then it synergizes in a sense. But maybe there's something better I could probably put here. Maybe there's something better I could put here, but again, you gotta, like, it's weird, like, you gotta figure out how you put pieces on different pieces or whatever, so it's pretty challenging. Not challenging, it's kind of tricky, whatever. You gotta think of it, so, not sure yet, but this one's this. This one is cool. I would actually put this one here, because this one I'll show you what you actually need that makes this build actually, like, probably the best build ever in Diablo history. JK, but still probably the best build in Diablo history. But this I think is necessary because you have the shadow imbuement, you have the ability to teleport and dash in. So when you do like this crowd control the status stuff, like this I think is super important because again it just, you know, gives you more of that crowd control thing. So you want to put this somewhere else other than the boots, because what you want to do is you want this. And I'm still looking for this, and it looks like you can only get this from a random drop, but I guess I've only found this once that I know of. It is, where is it? It is this. So you want to find this right here. So I googled it or whatever. You can only find this on random legendary drops, and I imprinted this. I don't think you can unimprint this from here to put it on. That'd be nice. I'll have to double check that after this. But anyway, it has essentially you get an additional charge with shadow step, right? And then if you, let's say, as an additional charge, killing enemy shadow says refunds a charge. So you can have infinite shadow step charges, because if you think about this, if you have enough damage, you can just be going mobility wise for like the small ads just to move around, just to kind of create space for yourself. Like say if you need to kind of wait for other cooldowns and you have this on your gear, you essentially have an infinite shadow step, because if you have, even if you don't have your buffs on, some ads you can kind of one-shot them if you have at certain power levels, for sure. But if you have your other buffs on, you're gonna be one-shotting something, and then you get, you know what I mean? You get extra damage, and then you can still continue to kind of build the cycle, but then you don't necessarily have to use that charge. So you have 2 charges, right? You can use 1 charge and get the free charge back. You know what I mean? Use it again if you don't get the free charge back. You still have 3 evades. You still have 1 other shadow stuff, but you'll have to take a chance on whether you kill that enemy, and then wait for your cooldown. But then you also have like 2 dashes, so then essentially you have a lot of mobility, I think, and that makes this build like super fun, but also super gago, as the Filipino people would say. So then back to the gear pieces. So this, and then, so yeah, that's what you want to kind of have on your boots. You want to get this, like whatever way, if you can find this, if you, anytime you see this, like make sure you just like stow this away somewhere, and let's just like take this, because this is hard to find. I'm still kind of looking for this. Once I find this, then yeah, I'll try to find this, and then I could really do like a really cool gameplay, like breakdown, like video or whatever of this, with this, if this is crazy. Anyway, with this one, triggers an explosion. Yeah, so I think this is cool as well. I think this energizes as well. But again, because with the shadow step, teleport in with the shadow step, you're behind, you know, the elite, you teleport in with your damage. You don't activate the shadow movement yet. So say if you don't want to, you just use your dark shroud, right, to give you defense, but also the explosions. Teleport into the elite, then you cast your shadow movement. Boom, you also affect everybody around you with the shadow movement, and then you know with the shadow movement, if it doesn't kill them, it still has, after, you know, damage over time thing where they explode with a certain amount of damage, and then that could stack with, you know, other crowd control effects and different things like that. So, you know what I mean, there's a lot of numbers and RNG things that kind of can go on with this build that makes this build like super gago, again, as the Filipinos would say. So this I think is super cool, definitely a must-have for the build. So just far, just to say, I feel like this is definitely a must-have with the momentum. Um, this is maybe there's something better. This I think is yeah, this is definitely a must-have. This is a maybe, I don't know, maybe possibly. If there's nothing else better, this is a must-have. Um, and this is a must-have, and this is a must-have for sure. So this one is cool. So this one, like I said earlier, like with dash is kind of like so in a sense. Like if you don't have enough damage, you can kind of dash into a bad situation, and then you don't have a way of getting out, or you're in a crowd and you kind of get one shot and you didn't really do enough damage. But with this one, you have a clone with you, so you get the clone with you, and then you put like the shadow imbuement on it, and then you have the shadow imbuement. I don't think the clone gets the imbuement though, but there is something where you can have the clone get the imbuement. Maybe that's a better thing as well. But in this build, the clone is like really situational or whatever for this build. But maybe we'll make another build. But I've seen other rogue builds where people say the clone doesn't work as intended. And in general, I think even I've seen other rogue builds where they say the damage numbers don't reflect accurately. So even this build may potentially do more damage than you see, because at times I don't know if you see all the damage numbers. Is what I'm saying. So this is pretty cool as well. I think this synergizes as well. So this I would say is kind of like a must-have for the build as well. Just because you get the clone, you get the extra damage with dash. You have 2 dashes, and again, you put the dark shroud on it, and you put the shadow imbuement if you need it. You go in with that. You're gonna apply the what do? You slow them. So you're gonna slow them if you do it once, right? So you slow them, you do it once. And if you're going the first time with the shadow imbuement, you also apply the shadow imbuement effect. So you slow them. And with shadow imbuement, you get 2 charges. So if you go back again, you apply more shadow damage, I guess. And then you also apply the second, you know, status effect that you get from the dash. So I think this kind of buffs dash, and this is kind of really like probably a must-have for this build for sure. Next one is using agility skill. Again, I think this one is a good one because you have the dark shroud and you have the agility skills. You have 2 agility skills, so yeah, again, this I think is like just definitely a must-have for this build. Not much to say about it here. Next one here, this one. Okay, so this about the energy regeneration, like I had to find this one again. So this one's kind of hard to find as well. So I had to go, like when I upgraded the gear pieces, I had to go and try to find this again. So if you find this, definitely like stow it away and, you know, store the aspect or whatever. But killing a vulnerable enemy. So this ties back to the whole thing about energy management with the rogue. And actually, one thing I want to say is that yeah, like before I even get to that, one thing that is actually cool about this build is that you you have the energy regeneration situation that you have to deal with, yes, but you want to actually burn your energy as quick as possible because I think it is yes, well not yet kind of as quick as possible. You wouldn't get below 75%, right? Because while below 75% energy, um you make enemies vulnerable. So you can easily make enemies vulnerable just by burning your energy. You know what I mean? And I know that energy regeneration, consumption, whatever, is kind of a talking point, I guess, or whatever, point of contention for the rogue. So this, I think, helps with that outside of whatever those pants are or whatever else that kind of does it. I'm not sure. I forget. I haven't seen them. I don't know exactly what they did. I don't know. I don't play Diablo like that. But I don't know. My friend said the pants is what you need and they're super hard to find. But if you can find this, which I think is less hard to find when one of because those pants are like whatever the next thing is above legendary, that's what those pants are. But those things are, so I haven't seen them. Um Killing vulnerable enemy grants you this increased energy regeneration. So you can easily make an enemy vulnerable with your basic skill and by spending your energy, which is something is what you're going to do anyway. So then if you can kill them with something like a shadow step, right? You can kill them with a shadow step, you increase your energy regeneration. If you kill them with your shadow step, you also get your shadow step charge back. So if you see how these things kind of synergize and tie together, I think that this is like again kind of a must-have for this build for sure. Um, this one. So with this, we evaded shadow step. Again, this one I think is super cool. This one has worked out because you have 3 evasion charges. So for this, if you can find some boots that give you 2 maximum evade charges. Yeah, if it gives you additional evade charges, I think you need that for this build. So you need to get the evade charge the evade charge on your boots, and then you also need to get that other skill that only appears on the boots for the shadow step. And you're kind of like for your boots, like yeah, it's pretty crazy, I think. Um, so for this, when you evade or you shadow step, that's freaking crazy. You drop these stun grenades for free. So again, with the build, you're getting free damage without having to do anything because you're already going to be pushing, not say significant amount of buttons. I don't know. That's subjective. Ask a seasoned Diablo player. You got to push a lot of buttons with this build, but this is another thing. You don't necessarily have to push a button to kind of get damage from this. So with this situation, again, I have 3 evade charges, and if I have that other thing, I have 2 shadow steps. So then that's 5 clusters of stun grenades that you're dropping. And when you see the kind of the gameplay, it kind of definitely ties in and kind of works out where it's definitely like pretty significant. This last thing, effects, yeah. So again, with the whole vulnerable thing, like you once you make anyone vulnerable, then you could kind of, you know what I mean? You kind of go to town and stack damage. I think in a lot of different ways that you could kind of create like a spreadsheet or something or like a video diagram, but hopefully you can kind of get the idea as far as the earpieces. For specialization, I went with combo points. I think that definitely makes sense. When you stack the combo points, it ties back to the core skills and different things like that. So yeah, combo points gives you extra damage. Abilities. Oh yeah, one of our abilities. So Paragon board briefly. I know people are like Paragon board is super complicated, so maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Not sure, but this is what I decided to do with the Paragon board. I was gonna follow the Mirage build initially, but I didn't have all the glyph sockets. So when I looked through the glyph sockets that I had initially, I had this one which was called efficiency. And so I was like, you know, screw it, I'm just gonna use efficiency. And I started using efficiency. I got this to level 15, through I guess the nightmare dungeons or whatever. So, um, this is what I've gone with so far as the points because with this build, I think the probably the most important things is on the Paragon boards, intelligence is hard to come by, I guess, like as far as stats. Like so you want to make sure you go for intelligence. Initially you might have to move some stuff around in the build just to kind of stack the stats you need, but then eventually you go back and I kind of put things around in here. So I don't fully understand everything on how it works, but I think the stuff that you have in here maybe buffs this or this buffs the stuff in here more, maybe I don't know. Yeah, whatever. So I've gotten it to a decent point. Like I said, with the build, I think I only need that one thing for the boots, And I think this build is like super like kind of perfect actually. It could be better if you have those super legendary pieces. And I'll show you a couple that are probably really good to have that will probably make this build like even more top than it is right now because this build is already like super top. But anyway, so I went with that glyph, and then I went with this Paragon board. You know, I don't know what this is called, but I orientated it in this way for whatever reason because I think I wanted to get this at the time. Not saying this makes sense to people who understand Paragon boards, but it made sense at the time of doing it, and it still kind of makes sense now. Like I don't actually regret doing the Paragon board this way, but whatever, we'll see. Because I mean, I plan to go over here next, so it actually helped me to get this, you know what I mean, and then I got this, and then over here, you get like that, you know what I mean, but you get like 20 for the price of 10, kind of like for two, you know what I mean, points, you get like 20 anyway. You get what I'm saying? So then I went with this over here. So I think I got that. I don't know why the damage sticker over time is not highlighted. I have no idea. If anybody understands that, explain what makes both of them turn green. Because I think in some situations both of them are green. Where is both? Like here, yeah. Both of them are green here. So I don't know if it's because it's inside the radius of this, of the glyph, maybe? I don't know. Because how would you ever get both bonuses on this? Because you can only level this glyph up to like here, I guess. Like, yeah, if somebody has an answer to that, that would make sense, but I have no idea. Anyway, so went with this as well. Have no idea how to get the immune skill cooldown. Would definitely love that, but I'll still take non-physical damage. I don't know what that means. Like, does that mean 20% non-physical damage to me or to the person? Like, I have no idea. But somebody, either myself or somebody's getting 20% non-physical damage, and that's probably good. But I definitely would like the imbuement skill cooldown reduction because I feel like that would be dope for the shadow imbuement. So that's that. Went with imbuement skill damage for sure. Because this ended up being kind of imbuement build. It has Mirage, but I'm gonna try out maybe the what is it, the concealment where you go invisible, you go stealth, and see how that works. Because having that guaranteed crit would be pretty good for the one-shot potential with the shadow step and with the shadow imbuement. So the shadow thing would be pretty good with this and everything else, and we'll see. So it's shaping out to be like a shadow build in a sense, right? Because there's no, I don't think for the rogue there's no shadow builds, or there's no build. I feel like in Diablo, from what I've seen, like my friend says, like just follow the build because these guys have tested, but it feels like there's no build diversity, but maybe there is build diversity in Diablo. But that's why I'm kind of making this video to see what people think, to see maybe you can build something like this and it's functional, because it's been functional thus far. I'm at level 79, and you know, knock on wood, we'll keep going. So there you are. So this is what I have. I have the potion healing here, which does work. And actually, yeah, another thing, I somehow was lucky enough to get 8 potions, which is freaking crazy. So if you can also get the 8 potions, why not? Just yeah, just take it and hold on to that one as well. So got the 8 potions. Would love the dexterity. Don't know how to get the dexterity. So with this, I went with the control because I have again crowd control stuff, so you get slowed enemies, so you can slow enemies with the dash. So you slow enemies, you get the 10% increased damage, 20% increased damage, or stunned or frozen enemies. Obviously I don't freeze them. I don't know if I could stun enemies, so if I figure out a way to stun enemies, which I know there's a way to, I gotta look at it, and if I can get the stun thing, then that gets kind of stacked with this. But I need to level this as well, so that's why I think this build is not even as strong as it could be, because this glyph is at like level 2 or something like that. So I need to level this up to like a higher level, not stay level 15, but stay at level 15. I think this build is like crazy, like pretty strong or whatever. So the goal is like, this is the Paragon board at this point. The goal is to go this way, which, you know, going left, whatever. But um, I haven't decided whether I'm gonna go here and then up to here to go here, to then go here, or just go here to go here and then here. Like, it's kind of tricky, but I'll get to the road when I cross it. I don't know, like when I figure it out. But I'm actually almost about to go over there soon. I want to start to level this up, but I know there's a huge requirement over here. Well, gear pieces might help fill this, and gear pieces have been helping, so it'll probably still probably get here. But I'll see what's more beneficial, to go here, here, or just go directly to here, going through here. For this Paragon board. and see how it goes. So that process is about to start. So I've covered that Paragon board. Excuse me, sorry. Covered the skill tree, um, specialization, definitely combo points. So with this one, the last thing is with these vampiric powers. So yeah, I forgot to do this for a while, and this actually helped a lot. When I actually put these on, and I had a ton of points here because I was doing those green zones and red zones and whatnot. So I've been using these, and these have kind of worked out. The damage reduction. I was using the one that generates health when you attack. I thought that was gonna be pretty cool, but I guess I don't attack enough for that one to be more useful for this. So I took damage reduction because again, you're kind of in the paint with your basic skill a lot, and if you teleport in with the shadow step or dashing, like you're gonna be in there a lot. So you're gonna need damage reduction. I felt like. Um, this one I looked at. This is enemy or direct damage affects them. But Pox. This thing, I don't know how if this actually works well. Like I know these games are kind of super hard to balance with all the RNG and like statuses and things going on. But I guess you're supposed to poison them. But I don't know if I'd be seeing they be looking like they poison because they're supposed to like turn green. But there's a lot of stuff going on, so I don't know if I pay attention to that. But I'll go with this potentially because there's actually an aspect that ties into like if somebody's poisoned and you hit them with the shadow imbuement, it does some stuff. So that was the idea here, but I don't know if this actually works in this build. But hopefully it should, or hopefully they patch it or something. I don't know. Anyway, so I went with this. Text deal 8% with their maximum life is physical damage to nearby enemy. Oh yeah, this one is pretty cool. Yeah, because like I see this randomly happen. I saw this in a video. Like, yeah, it just shoots out as like this red like kind of X or like yeah cross or something, and like does like damage or whatever. So this ain't pretty useful because again, you teleport in or whatever, and then like yeah, this does some stuff. It kind of helps you stay alive, helps you do damage. So went with that. This had something to do with imbuement, so why not? It was kind of an automatic thing. I don't know if I've ever seen this bad. I just realized I picked this. I don't know if I've ever noticed it bad, but again, with this build, there's a lot going on. There's bombs everywhere. You're dashing everywhere. You really don't have time, but you kind of do actually, because you dash and you have to like pause for a second and then kind of like, oh, okay, let me do these things. It makes it kind of fun because you have a lot of strategy, I think, in the build and everything like that. But whatever. So this ties into imbuement, and that's kind of why I picked it. I don't know if I've ever seen this bad, but it's probably around here, I guess. I don't know. So this one, okay, this is going to increase the damage of the sun's enemies that are who are affected by favorite crop. I guess they're saying if enemies that are moving. So if anybody, I mean, a lot of enemies be moving. So this seemed like why not use this? But if anybody has any other suggestions, let me know. So these seem like some why nots, but who knows? So if that's every oh yeah, last thing is like the special gear pieces that I've seen. Like if I had higher level versions of these, let me see if there's anyone. Yeah, this I think could work for like a different type of build because if you do rain of arrows, you can get free rain of arrows through like a aspect, but I think rain of arrows is a skill. I don't know how good it is, but that might work with some other synergies. I feel like this yeah, this one tying with vulnerable, like if you can find this at a high level, I think this would probably replace one of the other ones that I said was like to like one of the other ones that I said was like kind of maybe like the one that like when if somebody hits you and you get a stun grenade or something. Wait, is this for the gloves? Yeah, so what do I have on my gloves? On the dark shot. I think if you can like move this to someplace else and then take this away and you get this right here, that's pretty crazy. I used this before, the shadow clone, yeah, and it mimics your attack. So if you go in and you do like a barrage or you do like a yeah, it does like the attack, same thing. So if you teleport in and you do like the marksman blah 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 XYZ, the shadow clone. So this I think is like would make this build like uber like better, you know what I mean, like super better or whatever. So freeze enemies. This, I guess, I think this makes sense. Like thinking about the lucky hit chance on the shadow step, I think this makes sense. That, according to my understanding, you get 100% lucky hit chance. So then, if this says lucky hit, it means upon lucky hit, you have a chance you only have a 25% chance, but I guess that's still pretty decent, right? Because every time you use Shadow Step, yeah, that's actually kind of sick as well. So this one is actually pretty sick as well because you can freeze your enemies, and there's other things that tie into freezing your enemies, right? So if you can get high level gear pieces for these, this build has a lot of diversity, a lot of potential. You can go with a lot of the other aspects if you can get these. And you can have like certain key ones you need to have, like, you know, the momentum and maybe certain other ones to be determined later. But then you have a chance to freeze your enemies with this, or you have a chance to do this with this one. This can be two different types of builds because if you can freeze, that's a completely different thing that you can do to your enemy. So I think pretty useful for this type of build, like this
You
type
are
of build.
courting pain and
And then
death.
with this, oh, whatever, buddy. I hear what you're saying. Yes, I understand.
Greetings.
Anyway, oh yeah, what was I saying? Man, this guy just, oh yeah. um Casting and substitute skill, this is high decoy track. Yeah, so you have dark shrouds, so then yeah, I guess like this would work as well. Like, you know what I mean? So I think a lot of these for this Gago super build with these skills and these types of synergies and things, I think any of these, like if you have any of these or even multiple of these, you can tie any one of these into the build and make it really unique and diverse, I think, in a way that you don't really see and kind of build on other things or whatever. That's just my goggle perspective, though. So I don't 100% know, but I'm I got rose colored glasses on. What can I say? Okay, so this one, you leave behind a trail. I use this, I think, in the beta and in season one. I don't know if I use this to the full potential. I don't know how useful it is, but if someone has a lot of experience with the build with this, let me know. Then, yeah. Your core skills, still increase damage, expanding combo punch. Oh yeah, this one is pretty cool. Like this one's pretty useful as well. I had used this one as well because, like I said, the combo points tie in. So then, yeah, it ties into stack and makes your damage pretty good. No. So yeah, so that's it for like the unique things and stuff as well. But outside of that, there's the build. I think I covered everything. Like I said, not a super Diablo expert, but I think it makes sense. Been having fun with the build so far. Gonna try to keep taking it far. To see how far I can go. See if the build kind of hits a brick wall. I do see that there's other builds that feel like they're just stronger in an easier way. And my friend has definitely advised me that I think that's what people want is that you know, if you made it this far in the video, I guess like I do understand that people do want something that's easy, something that you can kind of just like push a button and do. But I think like from playing like a person that plays like fighting games and like even playing stuff like Ninja Gaiden or like Devil May Cry or like different things like that, like the whole concept of what this build is, I think it's like a different aspect. Like if you want to just kind of chill and whatever, then yeah, you can play that type of build. But then if you want something that's like engaging, that forces you to like pay attention but then it's like rewarding you for that. I think that this build kind of definitely like fulfills that kind of aspect in that role. But again, kind of not set in stone, but I'll still say this is the best rogue build ever. Probably the best Diablo 4 build ever. I mean, whatever, who cares? But it's pretty dope. I've been having fun with it, but I don't have all the time in the world, and I know it's a real time consuming. So if anybody wants to try this build, let me know what you think of the build. Let me know if you're having fun or what you think the downfalls of the builds are, what could be improved on the build. Because like I said, even myself in this video, I've kind of pointed out certain things that could be changed. And like I said, if I have the time, I'll probably check out substituting the barrage out for the concealment to see if that synergizes. Because there is something with when you come out of concealment with and you do shadow step or so like it's something that ties into it that could be even more damaging than using barrage, or this could just be like a shadow build that it does not exist for rogue, or a shadow human build, which I think is pretty cool and it's pretty fun because the evasion potential, the movement potential with the dashes, shadow step, you're dropping bombs everywhere, things are exploding, like there's numbers everywhere, and the numbers are getting bigger and bigger. So I kind of like it. So I think at this point with using status, you know, looking to get to 50 followers on Twitch, looking to get to 1,000 on YouTube, which man, that's a challenge, but we'll see how that goes. You got to start somewhere. So this is another starting point for something. So any follows, subscriptions, likes, comments, or whatever is definitely appreciated. So like, comment, subscribe. Definitely appreciate it. If I could find that piece for the boots, I will definitely try to make like a gameplay kind of exhibition, because that's what I think on Maxroll. That's what they did. Like they do like a gameplay exhibition thing. So I'll kind of do one of those like silly things, and then maybe if it's like super popular, people want it, then like I'll give you guys like a I think you can do like a Maxroll build thing, whatever, where you give like more of like what specific things, because on the gear pieces, yeah, there are specific things that you want, character traits and different things like that, like resistances and stuff like that. And oh yeah, the last thing is, yeah, I got to work on my resistances, I know, um, but they're not super bad. So in closing, I guess I'll just show um some of the stats. Not saying that they're super impressive, because I don't know what impressive is in this game, but I mean, it's working thus far. So utility, and there we go. So yeah, if you made it this far, thank you, and have a nice day.